The Stillwater Planning Commission meeting of July 9th is now called to order. It will be the process this evening to call for items on the agenda. The commission will hear briefly from staff first, then the applicant and/or their representative, then open the public hearing and hear from those in favor and/or in opposition to the request. When you come to the podium, please clearly state your name and address for the record. And then before closing the public hearing, both staff, applicant, and/or their representative will be provided an opportunity to respond and provide additional information and answer questions that have been asked. After all interested parties have spoken, the public hearing will be closed, and we will hear closing remarks and alternatives from staff. With that, the first item on the public hearing agenda is a preliminary plat, SUB 24-03. We will hear from staff first.
Good evening, Commissioners. I'm Jacqueline Porter, City Planner, presenting to you tonight this preliminary plat addressed as 4099 North Landron Drive. The plat's going to be known as North Airport Industrial Park. The subject property currently has access off of North Land Run Road and North Wright Drive. The property is located to the east of the Stillwater Airport and is north of the Airport Industrial Office Park. Here's a street view looking directly east off of North Wright Drive at the end of Wright Drive. The property is zoned light industrial. The applicant is proposing a 16 industrial lots and 1 outlot for detention. They will have access off of West Wright Drive and North Land Run Road by connecting the 2 roads with a dedicated public right-of-way and a private street off of West Wright Road with a hammerhead to provide access to the 6 southeast lots of the subdivision. Members of Ghost & Associates are here on behalf of the applicant. Are there any questions for staff?
Any questions from the commission? Okay. Thank you, Jacqueline. We'd now hear from the applicant if they'd like to give us a little bit more information.
Katie Purdy with Ghost & Associates here on behalf of the applicant. The address is 113 East 8th Ave. So here we have a 16-lot industrial subdivision with 1 outlot for detention. This preliminary plat meets zoning and subdivision regulations. It meets the C3 plan for industrial uses. We're tying in the water and sewer. We're going to loop them so they'll all have water and sewer access. If you have any further questions, I can try to answer them for you.
Any questions from the commissioners? I don't see any. Thank you. At this time, we'll open the public hearing and ask if there's anyone in the audience that would like to speak in favor of this item to please come forward. Seeing no one, is there anyone in the audience this evening that would like to speak in opposition of this item? Please come forward. State your name and address for the record.
And for the record, I'm not in opposition. I'm in favor. As I read through one of the proposals, I just want to clarify, the drainage study is still ongoing.
Oh, then she needs your name and address for the
I'm sorry, Robert
record.
Williams, and I represent Stan Clark Companies. We have property at 3904, which is next door to this lot.
Okay.
And so it's my understanding the drainage study has not been complete. Do you all know that, or do I need to ask?
We can have staff or the engineer come up and address that later. Okay.
It is still in review. Because our only concern is all of the land to the north of our property not running onto our property.
Okay. Jacqueline, would you mind, could you get the plat up so we could look at which lots and there, oh, there we go.
So all of that land on the north side of the building there, I have a pointer, I'd point. There's 4 lots there that principally drain to the south side of that property, north side of our building. And currently there is what I will call a swale there that takes all that water off of that property and takes it to the east, so it doesn't run down on top of me.
Okay.
And I just want to make sure somehow that swale doesn't disappear in grading. Because all of a sudden, if they raise that lot and it went above that swale or that berm, then all that water comes on the backside of my building, it will flood our building. And so it's not there today, and I don't, as the drainage study continues with either the ghost folks or with them, it's just something I don't want to disappear. Because I've seen that happen too many times, and just guys get out there and start grading, and all of a sudden, what happened? So,
Can you show me where on this plat you're talking about your property is? Which one is it? Go ahead.
this is our property here, and there's a natural swale right now that runs all this water coming here, and it takes it down to the east into the street. And then in the street, it takes it down here to a culvert. All of this water comes down on us here, so we designed for that, but we don't have a design for water coming from the north to the south, from the west to the east we do.
Okay, thank you.
And it looks like this lot, Lot A, is the outlot for drainage, correct?
It is, but it's not set up, and she can address this, it's not set up to accept the drainage because it's too high.
Right.
And so we can't, it'll be real difficult to get any of the water. That was originally set for detention for a lot of this property. And that's one of the reasons why, that's the other thing that's concerning is all of this property does not have to.
Okay.
All of this property does not have to have minimum, it has to have minimum amount of detention because that's the design of this entire plat. And so there isn't a lot of detention requirements on any of the new structures out here. This is all natural grass now. Once it becomes concrete, our concern would be more flow. It can be managed. I just want it to be managed where it's not coming down on me. I don't know that it'll ever make it into this unless there's some underground something and something. That's going to be a challenge, but she, I'm sure, recognizes that.
So, did you have any other concerns, Robert?
No, I mean,
Okay.
I think it's a neat deal and certainly supportive of it. It's just trying to figure out how to get it done and in a way that it helps both areas, including us and them. And, you know,
Okay.
that it's, the other concern would be as building goes on and with the city's support, is runoff because we do get a lot of mud in that road. Right now, all the water drains down the street, Land Run Drive.
To the south or?
To the south, and then there's a little culvert just past our driveway area that it goes into a little creek, and then that creek goes to the east and hits another creek. So none of that water right now is going into that.
Right, so what you're saying is everything to the north of you comes into that natural swale, which is on the north side of your building, and then it goes down Land Run to the south.
And then sheet flows down the street.
Gotcha. Okay.
Correct. And you may have seen that in
Yeah.
the topography.
I'll have you address it all here in just a little bit.
This topography on here does not represent what's really going on as accurately as I would like to see. And I was just out there today walking it, and it's very clear.
Okay. All right, appreciate that, thank you.
Thank you.
So I'll ask at this time if there's anyone else in the audience that would like to speak in opposition or bring up any other questions about this item. Seeing none, I'll ask that if the applicant would like to come back and address the questions that have been raised. Questions and concerns?
Okay, so with the preliminary plat, we did submit a preliminary drainage study.
I don't know if we could get the plat back up on the screen. There we go.
So that detention pond was designed, it was designed when the Airport Industrial Park, the South Plat, was designed to be developed. And so they will have to raise those lots. And with the improvement plans, we will submit a final drainage study that will show kind of our improvements to get the water to come down the road and through a concrete flume into the detention pond. Those lots will have to be raised a bit. There was no intention to change the swale that is on the north side of.
So then I'm looking at lots 6, 7, and 8, which are just immediately to the north of the neighbor's building that are on the west side of Land Run. Those, you're saying all of those finished floors will all have to be raised, that grading will be raised?
So the client will have to set pads and stuff. So the intention is to come build a road and put in the improvements in,
Mhm.
and then they will come in and, whoever buys the lot will come in and put their improvements. But when that is done, when it goes through the city process, they will have to show and prove that they're not increasing runoff so that will be as I'd go develop a warehouse out there, or if someone in the audience goes develop, they will have to do their own drainage study for individual lots that will have to be approved.
So, and this is kind of a rudimentary question I'm going to ask. So is the intent then that each of the development on each of the lots will be independently have to prove that they're not running off?
So they will have to meet what the current conditions are. So there is the drainage study. What that detention pond was built for was actually built for some of this to be industrial. So it is built to take on some of that water. Now that detention pond right now, I agree, it is overgrown. It is not meant to catch much right now. But once that's maintained, it'll be able to hold a lot more water, and we are following all the existing drainage paths, and there is a swell on the south side of the property that we are deferring some water to, but the preliminary drainage study that is required with the preliminary plat has been approved, and the final will be reviewed by staff when the improvement plans are submitted for the road, water, and sewer.
Okay, so I have a couple of questions. Could you say that again? What has already been approved?
The preliminary, so with the preliminary plat, a preliminary drainage study is required.
So the preliminary drainage study has been approved? Okay.
And then
And
the
then
final will be submitted once the improvement plans are
Okay.
submitted.
And then my second question is, do I understand this correctly that the road improvements will be curb and gutter to take the drainage sheet flow down the street when Land Run and Wright Drive are improved?
Yes, ma'am.
Those are, I think, my questions. Anybody else have questions? Thank you. Okay. Did I close the public hearing? All right. We'll close the public hearing and ask to hear alternatives and findings from staff.
All right, so the findings are the proposed preliminary plat meets the subdivision and zoning requirements. The C3 plan recommends industrial uses at this location, and the proposed density is in alignment with the light industrial zoning district requirements. So your alternatives tonight are accept findings and approve the proposed preliminary plat as presented. Approve the proposed preliminary plat with conditions, noting what the conditions should be met for the approval of the final plat. Reject findings and deny the proposed preliminary plat as presented, or find that additional information or discussion is needed prior to making a decision, and table the request to a certain date, noting that action must be taken within 60 days of the public hearing.
Have any questions for staff? So I have a procedural question. Will the final drainage study be approved before the final plat comes to us?
Yes.
Okay.
Mhm. All improvements must be substantially complete before the final plat can be presented to you.
Okay, great. Just wanted to make sure. Thanks, Jacqueline.
You're welcome.
Commissioners, anyone entertaining a motion?
Well, I saw, so maybe Robert didn't agree that the final plat would come here with the drainage study complete. Didn't look like so. I mean, we could go with option 2 and just require that the drainage study is complete with the final plat. Jacqueline said it was substantially complete. I don't know if there's a shade of meaning there that's,
So that's, the substantially complete is all improvements. So final drainage plan will be approved prior to the final. So substantially is like roads, anything that's minor that's left for, like if there's a crack in the cement, that has to be, we consider that substantially complete if that's all that's left that needs to be
Okay.
fixed. So.
all right,
So,
thank you.
and then Jacqueline, I have another question. Thinking about implementation of the project, would the road improvements, the drainage improvements all have to be in place before any of the lots could be developed?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. The final plat has to be approved and filed before they can even pull
But
anything.
does the road and all the drainage have to be in place before someone can start pulling a permit to
Yes.
start building something?
Mhm.
So in essence, what I'm asking is, do we have mechanisms in place so that there wouldn't be development happening that would create runoff before the drainage improvements could
yes.
be
Yep.
constructed and in place, is what I'm asking.
Mhm. Yep. All infrastructure is the improvement package, and that has to be completed before even a final. And then they can't develop until it's filed.
All right, thanks.
I'd make a motion to accept the findings and approve the proposed preliminary plat as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. We shall now vote. Motion passes 5-0. Next item on the agenda is miscellaneous items from staff, planning commissioners, or the city attorney for discussion and possible action. The only item we have listed is that the next regular meeting is July 16th. And the last item on the agenda is adjournment. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. We shall now vote. Motion passes unanimously. We are now adjourned.